that any balance sheet that we put out, you will see enough leverage. Leverage means too much debt compared to the amount of equity they have within the bank, right? That's why that hasn't happened. Those are some of the implications that happens when your domestic debt actually continue to increase, and you're borrowing from this financial institution that's supposed to be the engine within the economy, to be lending within the economy to make sure that you grow your GDP. Yeah.
Right. I think
Now,
we'll
John, I just want to say this.
Go ahead.
I want to say this very quickly onto that issue as well. Gabriel is entirely right, but here's the thing to the happening in Liberia. I know this is the finance ministry thing, but the regulatory arm of the banking system in Liberia is filling heavily. This is not the bank's money. These are people deposit accounts. These are people's personal money. The bank is lending out. No government should be borrowing from commercial bank to go do government functions. But this is happening because of kickbacks. It goes back to regulation. If there is a rule saying because people, if I'm a bank manager in Liberia and the government borrows from me, I'm getting a massive kickback. So I'm encouraged to do this because this is not my money. If you remember in this country, like I said, I always hate to make the comparison. There was a time during the real estate crisis in this country. Most of these people that were giving these loans, they didn't belong. There was not their money. They were the bank money. They were giving it to anybody because they were getting massive commission. But when it's come to the Italian, the real news to make sure that it's counter. In Liberia, the banks were borrowing from these commercial banks. The local presidents and guys that were giving out the loan were getting kickback. They didn't care. According to the most recent finance minister, he said that is no longer happening, and we are happy for that. But the regulatory arms of the banking system in Liberia do not allow that to happen in the first place. Because you're making the banking system. I know Gabriel said they're almost, I believe FDI is they published a financial report because they're way over leveraged. Way over leveraged.
Let me bring this comment in, and then we go to the solutions to the Ministry of Finance. This comment, because is from Martin Brown. He said, "Good day, gentlemen. You guys listen to Minister Tua analysis about the economy on the 50-50 talk show." I think that's the team.
Let me just put it at this. Every time the IMF gives you domestic analysis of a country that you have its own analyzing arm, they are giving you an analysis to take with a grain of salt because you're supposed to know your own affairs within the confines of your own country.
Yeah.
The reason why, this is true for opposition and it's true for people in the government. When the IMF gives you good performance report and that report aligns with your beliefs, you magnify it. The IMF did not tell you that this was found because of this and this and this and this. The shock we observe with Ebola has already pushed over. When you're using these to explain certain things, if I were the finance minister, I'm not going to go explain to people what's happening. I will give them solutions to these problems based on the reports we get from ourselves. Look, I say this, people can laugh. We should know how much volume of cassava is coming to Rayleigh every single day. We should know that. We should find a way to quantify that. How many kids are leaving from Lofa County? It sounds crazy. This is our market. This is our stock market.
Yeah.
I could be a kid in a trailer. And when you say that, people laugh, but they don't understand. Look, we have close to 5 million people in Liberia. I can guarantee you of that 5 million people, maybe 300,000 people cooking today every day.
Yeah.
Right. So leverage my Kitty market and increase that. We should have an analysis on Kitty. Yeah. This is our stock market. This is how things develop.
I just wanted to expand. I wanted to expand on the. I want just talk a little bit about the graph that was actually shown. And this is why we encourage people to come on the show to learn about not the expert level, but just the basics of economics and finance and how that is important, right? The minister was on that show giving that graph, and he went as far as recommending that we brought inflation down to 14% from 18 to 14%. And so the talk show guy asked him, why is it that inflation is down, but we're still seeing increase in prices? And the suggestion that he gave was that, yes, he was right. It's market forces, right? But his solution was that we're going to go in and make sure now we bring the prices down, right? And people gloss over that. Nobody asks a question about that. But fundamentally, from an economic standpoint, that is the biggest mistake you can ever make. We made that in 1979. We made that mistake in 1979 that cost us the rice riot. because the price of rice was so high, right? They put a embargo on this rice importers, and the people couldn't supply the same amount of rice for the price they wanted them to sell it to. They pulled their rice out of the market, and the local farmer that's supposed to have rice to sell, didn't have enough to meet the demand. That's how it led us to the rice. And he's making the same mistake here to say, because inflation is down and prices are not down, we're going to go in there and bring the prices down. That's market interference. That's the fundamental economic mistake that we can make. We made that in 1979, and if he go ahead and do that again, we're gonna have another riot, because things are gonna just go out of hand. I just wanted to clarify on that aspect of it.
All right. Then also, you have some solutions here, Gabriel. I want you to go over quickly as we near the drawing down of the curtains.
Yeah. So I think for this show that we do, most of the time we don't just talk about the problems. We talk about some of this, solution as well, because I think it would be, it won't do us justice if we just come and just talk about problems and not focus on solutions. So, the Ministry of Finance, as we know, it's not an easy ministry to run. Economics as a whole, or finance as a whole, is not an exact science or art to say, whatever model I put out is going to predict exactly what's going to happen. Most of it has to do with human behaviors, right? But from a solution standpoint, I think some of the things we think the minister can do is pretty much focus on the macroeconomics activity in the country, right? As I just mentioned, what else, making sure that people they're spending money correctly, that they're borrowing from the international institution. Enhanced tax policy. I think Dwalu talked about this. You want to have effective tax policy to make sure people are able to easily pay their taxes, right? I talked about this earlier. We're humans. You have to nudge us, even for the things that benefit us. We won't do it. You have to nudge us in those departments before in that area before we will act, right? We have to push for reduction in exorbitant salary. I think Dwalu talked on this earlier. We're a poor country. There's no way somebody should be making 15,000 of even 5,000 in a country that is dirt poor. So those are some of the solutions that we think that from an immediate standpoint or even long-term standpoint that they can do. Reduce the operating expenses at these state-owned enterprises, right? We have these state-owned enterprises that are very fundamental to how we collect, whether we collect taxes or some of the money that we actually make in that goes into our budget, right? Reduce the operating expenses so that way the money that they're bringing in everything don't go to salary and operating expenses. Again, another one is actually increase the revenue at the state-owned enterprises. How do you make sure that you increase revenue? If you tie that, as we said earlier, you tie it to performance, people will be, you're now, it will now be incumbent upon you to say, if I don't perform well, my part of my salary is tied to this. And additionally, I think they should collaborate with the central bank of government, the central bank, to make sure to find out ways how they can grow the economy. I think there are endless solutions out there that we recommend, but I think for the sake of time, I would just stop here for now.
Okay, thank you. All right.
Hey, John,
we are drawing down our curtains.
I just want to add this one point.
Yeah. Dualu, you have
that Gabriel added. Yeah, I want to add this one point very quickly on when Troy said you're going to try to bring the prices down. But before I do that, I want to understand this. The issue in the country, the financial policies will not work if the courts don't function properly. It is a huge deal. That's why the commercial courts are so important. It's another topic we can talk about, but it's a massive deal why certain things are not happening in the country because the courts are not working. But go back, you artificially close prices down, not using any kind of economic policy. And I mentioned that last time. You put water in balloon and you press the hand on the balloon. Eventually, it's going to pop. And when that pop, it can lead to chaos, aka the rest riot. You cannot artificially push prices down when you don't provide a mechanism. You want to bring prices down, increase production, increase export, and make better policies that increase the flow of capital in the country. So many ways, so many things you can do. Okay, this is why you are the expert in those solutions. but you cannot artificially push prices down. The push your quotes, and our quotes have to work for these policies to work. If they cannot work, it cannot work. Because business is not going to bring the money somewhere where they don't trust the environment.
Yep.
Let me read one more comment. There is a big one. It says the heads of autonomous that's from Sam Wallow. The heads of autonomous agencies are appointed by the president and paid by the government. They should not be on a different paid band or structure or provided bonuses. They are not private sector employees. Under the Salif administration, many of the appointees leading those agencies were paid by donor funds, and the high salary pay were not justifiable because the people hired had no prior direct experience related to the work they were hired to do.
Great. Time paid to performance is not a bad thing. This is not performance in isolation. This will be performance on a grid line that is legislated. That's what we are suggesting, though. Obviously, you don't want to pay the people exorbitant. Look, I'm of the total conviction. I don't care how many degree you got, where you got it from. Nobody's been making more than 2,009 in Liberia. I don't care where you come from. This is not the place for you. We are not at that level yet. We are not at that level. Look, I'll tell people this. Name one person in the government of Liberia, before or now, who is capable of making $1,000 a month outside the government in Liberia. Nobody can come up with one person.
That's nobody. That's it. Please tell me
so
that.
They cannot make that kind of money. Why should they make that money in that country? So this is a moot point. My issue is, look, if you want to make, look, when I was in Liberia, we talk about the national debt, local domestic debt. The government owe me some money. I get a $17,000 check that bounced. I know I would never get that money on the Ellen Johnson Service Administration. It was a domestic debt. It's part of that. But my issue is, if you want manipulative money, go to the private sector.
Yeah.
Government is not for you. Look, people go to government for the reasoning of legacy, to serve, to truly serve. That's why you must make some money in the private sector. Then you go to government. You don't care about money at this point. It doesn't mean you shouldn't get paid. But in Liberia, the mindset is where I go to accumulate wealth. This is a wrong mindset. You can never develop one of these conditions. So I'll tell you this. People say we got budget shortfall. If I'm president, we have a tool right now. You can pass an executive order today and put that before the legislature. You have to 3 months. Nobody in the republic will make more than $1,000 until we sort this out. You can do that today. You got an option. You don't have to stay in the government. You can leave. And then you take them, put people to work. You have to put people to work. So corporations do it all the time. When a corporation is going under, all the high salary people, they let it go.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to add to the the comment that the audit that Dwally just talked about, that the time performance to time salary to performance. This is something that was done before in Singapore. Lee Kuan Yew, right? When how he transformed that country to an economic powerhouse today. When the state-owned enterprises, that's exactly what he did. He tied it. This is not to say all of your salary is going to be based on performance. Part of it is there, and there's an incentive. The bonus is an incentive to say, if I do such and such, if I go if I exceed over this, I will get paid such and such. Right? That gives you an incentive to make sure that you are, as a manager of that state-owned enterprises, you're focusing on reducing your operating budget, right? Operating costs, and making sure you're looking at other ways to grow the revenue of that state-owned enterprises. It's an incentive nudge thing that we're talking about. It's not, even though it wasn't done during the early administration. These are solutions. These are recommendations. The ship is currently sinking. You have to do something to correct the to patch the hole that is sinking the ship.
Thank you. Guys, thank you so much for your time. I want to thank those who are watching us and who even will watch later on YouTube and other social media platforms. Let's get your closing comment. Today at 7, we're going to be having former ULA president, Mr. Emmanuel Weti, who's going to be talking about a referendum. He has devoted his life to dual citizenship. It looks like it has failed. Mr. Weti is back in the United States, and we want to talk to him about that. But before, that is at 7. Let's get your closing comments on your parting statement on the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning.
For me, the parting comment is very simple. I want people to understand, in no way am I suggesting that salary is the main issue. Our issue is we have to raise our revenue base. However, salary is part of the problem, and there are several problems we are pointing out. We can improve that. The finance ministry has to understand we have to grow this base of revenue, and we have to find ways and focus on actual policy implementation, more or less on the budget. The budget will take care of itself if the money come in. We have to expand our budget. The issue, we're trying to find solutions to Liberia's issues. These are recommendations. If there any way we can talk about these recommendations, we're always open to do that. But the issue of Liberia must be forward before all of us. There must be to expand the operations in the country. The country is sinking. We must find those solutions.
Thank you. Mr. Carter.
Yeah, I think for me, the biggest part I want to focus on is that we shouldn't take on any more debt until we can figure out how to pay down this debt that we have, right? That's one. Two, we need to focus on how to grow the economy, right? Whether you're working with the central bank to see how you can do that, or Ministry of Commerce, we need to focus on that to lower this debt load that we have before we can even take on, and make sure that we even pay it down to 50% before we can even look at to say, to go on and take on any more debt again. And as far as solution in its entirety, we've laid those out. As I said, there's solution out there that we've laid out that I think that if the central minister of central bank is watching the show, he can reach out to any of us, or even watch the show to take some of those recommendations. But for me, I think the most important thing is ease off on the debt. No more, don't go borrow any more money again unless you know what you're going to do with it, right? And secondly, focus on how you can grow the economy to pay back to pay down this debt that we currently have before you can go any further. So for me, I think that's what I have for now for a recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and I want to thank and appreciate you for your time and your expertise. We'll be closing, but we don't leave without playing our closing song that says, "We are all Liberians."
We are Liberians. Liberia is our home. Liberian people. Liberia.